I don't know about you guys, but have you ever tried to write a compelling story? It's hard. Now, make it an RPG, give it a unique art style, make the whole thing a poem, and make some absolute bangers for the soundtrack. Bangers like these. Since this game came out in 2014, I have forgotten how many times I played it. Regardless, every single time it was amazing. This game has always been in my top 3, like games I ever played. But the last time I played through this, about 6 months ago, the writing jumped out at me. A lot more than it has before. To the point that I was comparing everything's narrative or story to it. Whether it be other video games, movies, books, anime, whatever you want. So, I finally decided to write a video about it. This fairy tale inspired RPG is Child of Light, and it is criminally underrated. Now, I do have to say, the title, Moving Fairy Tale, isn't exactly mine. It's the creators, who we just happen to be talking about right now. I believe we should start where they did. With the design process. I know, it sounds boring, but this game's different, dog. They hired someone from Cirque du Soleil to enhance the theatricality, big word there, of the game. Now, that's a little weird, right? But it's weirder because this team also worked on Far Cry 3. So how the hell did these people make a moving fairy tale? Well, let's find out with the very own title card of my own. Now, Child of Light starts where Far Cry 3 ends. Patrick Plord, the creative director, finished Far Cry 3 in a process he now calls hellish and chaotic in an interview with Video Games Chronicles. With the hellishness and chaoticness, along with the overall violence of the game, Plord is quoted saying that another color in the rainbow is what was next. That color came in the form of 20th century artist illustrators. I really don't know what the difference is between this and art. Regardless, people like Edmund Dulac and especially John Bauer were some pretty heavy inspirations. Edmund Dulac has a few pieces that you can definitely relate to Child of Light, like Stealers of Light. I thought that one was interesting. We share names now. And this one, Little Fairies. This man did tons of illustrations. It was his thing. But what I gotta say is, why do his illustrations look like Ghibli movies? Why does this one remind me of that bridge at the beginning of Spirited Away? And you can't tell me this one ain't Howl's Moving Castle. There's even that little scarecrow man, but like toy soldier now. Now, he wasn't the only old illustrator that this team used for inspiration. They used John Bauer's illustrations as well. And wait a minute, this kind of looks like the main character. No, I spoiled it. Yes, so the art team was very heavily inspired by these types of artists, and that's how they got 1, the moving painting aspect, and 2, their main character, Aurora, at least the design. The character herself was made to break basic fairy tale tropes. Going back to the creative director, Plord started taking courses on the history and theories of fairy tales. He noticed that all these fairy tale princesses needed a special someone, usually in the form of what we know as a Prince Charming, to help them with their problems. Plord wanted to move beyond that and shift the focus to self-reliance and helping others, along with being better than ourselves. Keep those themes in mind, along with Plord's question, what is it to move past being a child? We won't talk about these now. You're gonna have to wait until the end, when we actually cover the story. So, let's cover the story. No, well, kind of. The writing. We covered the moving painting aspect, but what about the playable poem part? Well, Patrick Plord got Jeffrey Yohelem on his team early on. Yohelem had a few things to start with, like a folder of 400 paintings, a few of which I've probably shown you without even knowing. He also started with a fake soundtrack and a few main story points, which we will get onto later. Oh, and an English degree from Yale. Most notably, Jeffrey Yohelem decided himself to make this whole thing a poem. This includes every piece of writing in this game, the dialogue, narration, and even confessions, the in-game collectibles. Now, high school English classes had poetry leaving a bad taste in my mouth, and I imagine many others. However, this poetry had me feeling classy. It had a sense of elegance to the story. Pair that with the watercolor art style, orchestrated music, and graceness of Aurora's movements, and you get the feeling that you're playing a play. Remember that man from Circus Soleil I talked about? Yeah, that's where the graceness comes from. Just look at that hair movement. Okay, the poetry is cool and all, but let's talk more about it. The duo whipped up a storybook and pitched it to Ubisoft, who went, hell yeah, and thus, Child of Light was thrown into development. Plord and Yohelem had a very loose story that kept it flexible. They had an idea for a town full of mice? Boom, fuck it, let's put Robert in. My man! You know, you're probably like, this game's development sounds like way too good. Don't worry, it gets better. Jeff Pressing was so happy to join that he came in the weekend before his first day to make a water simulation for Aurora's hair, which made it look like it was flowing and floating. So, Jeff Pressing is my boy now, and this game's development only gets better. Plord didn't care that it became a poem, cause Yohelem wanted to, and when you want to do something, you do it better. That's why this game is amazing. Everyone on this development team wanted to work on this game. Why though? Because this whole thing was a passion project. When Plord started the concepts for this game, everyone he wanted to recruit on the team was working on other games already, so he had time to really think about the development and the whole process. When the process began, it was going so smoothly that everyone wanted to join the team. It made such an impact, Plord actually got in trouble for it. Look at this. The game's vision was clear and it created a snowball effect. I'd get people that were way too good, huge talent for a small game. I was being laughed at 4 or 5 months before, and then you need to stop because you're endangering the studio by pulling developers off other games. If somebody didn't want to go on Assassin's Creed, it's not my problem. Just to show you how much of a passion project this was, Yohelem described writing this game as the most challenging thing he has ever done, but loved it and only ever had good things to say about it. We were definitely way better rested, says Yohelem. We weren't put through the ringer like on a AAA game. This game is an example of what game development could and should be. I'm just figuring this stuff out, and it makes me like this game so much more. Game developers will be foaming at the mouth for any one of these conditions. No real crunch time, flexible ideas, everyone not hating it. You know, fun stuff. Okay, too much fun stuff. Let's talk about the game. The beginning, at least. This game, amazing. Sorry. Had to get that off my chest. This game starts with some freaking ear-tingling narration. But, my brother in struggle, we must stay focused. We gotta look at the writing. So sorry, we gotta talk about it again. But, much like I already said, Fairytales inspired the writing in a defiant way. The writing breaks tropes and kinda did whatever it wanted in a good way, like the beginning cutscene. You know of any fairy tales that start like that? Child of Light is a coming-of-age story, but Aurora is dead, or she's not, because she wakes up in a mysterious land called Lemuria, where she almost runs into Igniculus, who doesn't know anything, except that he needs to bring her to the Lady of the Forest. This leads to the first combat of the game, where something surprising happens. Aurora, damn near a walking symbol of innocence, runs towards the fight. The sheltered princess isn't just willing to fight, but eager to. This is what I mean when I say this game is gonna break basic fairy tale tropes like that. Her Prince Charming? Best we got is a firefly that knows less than her. So, the princess who's strangely awoke in this place, wakey, it's time for school, is rolling with a living firefly that was born yesterday. You, and the two characters that we are introduced to, have absolutely zero clue on what's going on. Naturally, the dialogue between these two gets interesting as you watch them try to figure these things out. After the fight, Aurora and Igniculus head toward their newfound destination, where they run into this crow. This crow does two small things. The first is that it shows the extent of Igniculus's innocence. He has no goddamn clue that this is even a grave. It also shows you the weird shit that you're gonna see in this game. Unfortunately, this crow just kinda yells at you, and honestly, this might be more on the normal side. With some guidance from the Lady of the Forest, we arrive with her being trapped behind some glass, where some stone guards mention the Queen of Night. Now, with very clever use of context clues in the title of the game, one could very cleverly assume the antagonist. Guards ain't nothing for big ol' Aurora, and we finally meet this Lady of the Forest woman, who's old. Man, come on! And just like all old people in video games, vision time, where we get to hear this beautiful narrator again.
With alabaster light.
The narrator mentions the Queen of Light, and hey, that kinda looks like the old lady's dress that we're talking to right now. So, our main goal is established, baby. Bring back the light, fitting for a character named Aurora and Igniculus. After Aurora hears of this tale, she has to be woken up. In a dream, baby, this real life. She refuses to believe, saying that she isn't right for this job, and this is the Firefly while at it, who we just learned his name Igniculus. Aurora's childish nature gets exposed here. She doesn't give listening a chance and whines about how she can't, how she wants to go back. Very contrasting with her attitude towards the first fight. Oh my, a character with a changing personality. And a changing design, cause we got wings now. No more platforming, you fly now. This all happens within like 20 minutes, so I don't count these as spoilers. Everything after this, I would, so I'm not gonna talk about it. I will end this by talking about the sound. I don't just say music because I wanted to include this, the sound for Aurora's wings. It is practically unnoticeable while playing, but while researching for this video, I found this man. He used flowers for the sounds of Aurora's wings. I thought that was nice. But the music, oh my. Originally, like the small game they were initially applied to be, they only hired one independent artist to make the music, this girl. But due to this game gaining so much popularity while in development, they eventually had to hire a whole orchestra for the music. Everyone can get something out of this. This game came out in 2014. I was 9 and I loved this game. I played it through again for this video. I loved it. Families can play through this game too. There's co-op with Igniculus, and when a little brother or daughter asks to play the game, you don't have to give them a controller that's not even turned on. They can just control Igniculus. I'm sorry, but I have to say thank you for watching this video. Like I said many times throughout the video, this is my favorite game by far, and I just really wanted to make a video about it. I know it's not perfect. Editing is hard, but I'm figuring out as I go along. And as a YouTuber, I have to ask, please like and subscribe. I would love it. It would make my day so much better, and I hope someday to do the same to you.